Woo. Hey everybody, it's Dan. Welcome back. I am doing an interview today with my friend Kate. She is a Reiki practitioner, oracle card reader, and intuitive, just like me. So I guess me and Kate started talking about a year or so ago. We met on a Facebook group. I forgot how exactly it happened. I put like a picture up and you like commented on my energy, and then like it kind of just took off from there, right?
Yep, exactly what happened.
Yeah. So anyway, so we started talking about a year or so ago. We've been talking about all types of spiritual stuff. She's been helping me through things. And so I kind of want to like ask you a couple questions about like your awakening. Like when did it like really start for you?
It really kicked off about a year ago, in June.
Mhm.
But prior to that, I always had some sort of like knowing, like I just knew, like things were connected, just different things,
Mhm.
things that I knew like way beyond my time.
Mhm.
Um, but when COVID hit, it really gave me an opportunity to explore myself and go deeper. I have 6 kids and I work, full time. So I never really had the opportunity to do what was, like really weighing on me, like my gut, like I needed to spend time. I needed to, work on my healing and stuff. And so when COVID hit, it literally just kicked off, I mean, like full force. Um, Pretty wicked stuff, pain and healing and all of that. So yeah, my family got to witness all of that and thought I was going crazy for a little bit, but I'm good. I'm here.
Same, yeah. I mean, like COVID, I think it pushed a lot of people into this dark place, and like you had to find your way out, and like spirituality became the light at the end of the tunnel for a lot of us, you know?
Mhm.
It kind of like forced you to reflect. You had nothing but your thoughts all day, every day when you're locked inside, you know? Like, what else are you going to do? You might as well explore yourself and figure out who you are while you have the time, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
So,
was,
oh, go
go
ahead.
ahead.
No,
So,
go ahead. You go.
I was just gonna say I was away from my family. When COVID hit, I lived over in Seattle, and that's two states away from Montana. And so it just really, really hit me hard because I was, alone. Um, and so it was just it felt like it was just a lot of like full force. I have your attention now, so here's all this stuff you need to deal with. But
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, I mean, it really, you know, definitely the, biggest awakening ever for, the entire world. So pretty crazy.
I went through like a crazy experience when I was like 17. Like I told you like bits of pieces of it, but like my brother met some dude. This is like 2003, 2002, 2003. So like 9/11 just happened. Like we
Mhm.
were in New York. So like there was a lot of disillusion and fear back then, I remember, you know. So my brother's friend just committed suicide a couple months before, and he was kind of doing like his own type of soul searching. He happened to meet the wrong guy that kind of brainwashed him into believing like all this like really dark shit, you know, thinking Satan was everything. Everything you did was Satan. If you don't listen to me, then Satan's going to get you. Satan can possess your mother, your brother, your dog, and
Mhm.
interfere with your day. So like you always have to be praying to Jesus. Like, you know, you always have to be praying the rosary. You always have to do this. Yeah, like all this dogma. My brother ate it up, you know.
Mhm.
So he also put like conspiracy theories in there too. You know what I mean? So like 9/11, like child sex trafficking, black magic stuff, all that type of stuff, you know, all rolled into one. I started talking about that stuff at 17 because what do I know? You know what I mean? So like the schools got involved, they got worried, my parents got involved, I had to get psychologically evaluated, you know.
God, of
So like I tried to keep that under wraps for a couple of years, even though it was always like under my hat and I was always kind of thinking about that stuff.
course.
Um, and then like I went to college, I graduated college. I tried to just like be like a normal person. I tried to just forget the whole freaking thing, you know. And then like
Mhm.
about 4 years ago, it started to come out like a little bit more, like something was like nagging me on the inside. It was like trying to come out, you know? And then obviously this past year, like it full force came out. Like it's like I've been waiting long enough, like it's coming out whether you like it or not, and deal with
Right.
it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah. But yeah, it's crazy, like this intense rapiding of the pace for everybody. Like with this like Instagram that I just started, like random people are hitting me up. One girl's just like, "Oh, I read auras, and you have a bluish like purple aura, you know." And then I'm like, "Oh, I could feel your heart because I feel emotions. I feel like you have lots of pain and despair and sadness in your heart." She's like, "I do." You know, it's crazy.
Yeah.
We're all coming out of the woodwork now, and we're
Yes.
all like connecting using our gifts with each other. So it's really awesome right now. You know, it's like,
Amazing.
yeah, yeah. So why don't you like tell everybody that's like going to be watching this a little bit about like your background, like where you're from and like, you know.
Okay. So born and raised on the Flathead Indian Reservation in Montana, and that's in northwest Montana.
Mhm.
Just raised here. I've probably lived on every town on the reservation. We have a pretty big reservation. We have a really big lake. It's called Flathead Lake. It's on fire right now, but we have rain, so we're hoping it puts out all the fires. But yeah, so I've been here my entire life. I was raised Christian. I didn't get into my Native American heritage until I was probably about 16.
Mhm.
Things kind of really resonated with me when I found out, you know, just kind of, you know, like the church just didn't resonate with me, and it resonates with a lot of people, and that's cool.
Yeah.
It just didn't for me, and I knew that there was something missing always, and I couldn't pinpoint it until I connected to my cultural side, and I just became alive inside. It's probably the first time that I really actually felt like my soul full and my heart full. The music, the ceremonies, the you know, just everything about it just really filled my soul, and it just hit, you know, it was the feels. It felt so good. And and so I, you know, did a lot of cultural traditional stuff up until just maybe about a decade ago. Things kind of changed with the dynamic within the reservation and myself and different families included, where I just became just, I guess, not so involved.
Mhm.
Um, Most of that was because of my job. I was a program manager for our tribe, and I ran the child welfare program on the CPS side and on the foster care side. And so,
Mhm.
you know, I mean, just the stigma that comes with being a social worker and whatnot. I stayed away from different things, but I still worked on myself and, you know, all of that stuff. I um, haven't really moved out of the state. I tried to move out of the state when I was like 19. I was pregnant, or 20. I was 20 and I was pregnant with my second kid, and I rode the bus from Montana all the way to New York. It was like
Wow.
3.5 days. That lasted, I don't even know. I mean, barely even any, you know, I was like, wow, I need to go back to the reservation. So I came back home, um, and just put myself through college. We have a tribal college here, and I was the first woman to graduate with a bachelor's in social work from a tribal accredited college. I mean, that's a pretty big thing.
Nice.
I didn't realize how big that was until they gave me this plaque, and I had no idea what was going on. So, and then you know, I went on to get my master's degree. And I fast tracked that degree. I got that degree in 12 months while working and stuff.
Wow.
And I always had a really I'm really driven, determined. And so when I set up a goal, I try my hardest to make it happen.
Mhm.
Of course, if it's not meant, it won't happen. And I've always known that, you know, how doors will just open up for you if it's meant to be. And I've kind of just lived my life that way growing up, even just knowing that if, there's a reason why I got a flat tire, and then finding out later, you know what I mean? Just throughout my entire life. I worked 12 years for my tribe in the child welfare program. Prior to that, I was a counselor at one of our reservation towns for a few years. And 2 years ago, I resigned my position with my tribe and moved over to Seattle to work with the Tulalip tribe. And they're north of Seattle, way kind of up by Canada, north of Everett.
Mhm.
And I stayed there until COVID hit. And once all of that kind of happened, like I said, I moved home. But yeah, so I'm just kind of people know me around here. It's a small reservation, and
Mhm.
I'm happy to be home and happy to be able to offer whatever type of healing that co-healing that I can do for people.
Mhm.
I worked really, really hard on my name and my integrity, and I'm honest, and people know that. And so I'm just hoping that with, opening up my business, that I can reach and help as many people, even if it's just one, or in passing, that seed's been planted. And so I hope I can inspire others by my healing for them to heal themselves as well.
Yeah, 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 totally. I feel like I'm kind of I don't know what happened a couple weeks ago. Like I just decided to make that Instagram. I was just like fed up, like sitting around, like waiting for something to happen, and I
Yeah.
just like had like 18 years of like research of me being like a nerd, looking up everything. You know what I mean? Like conspiracy theories, meditation techniques, astral traveling, aliens. Like all that stuff, and it's like if I can't like share it, any idiot can go on the internet nowadays. Like, why not this idiot? You know what I mean? Like, that's what I'm kind of thinking. Like, everybody else has a voice. Like, I don't really use mine. And that's like kind of part of like, I realized the spiritual experience too. Is like, I was watching this girl, Rod James. She has, I forgot what her page was, but I started watching her in the beginning of COVID. And like at first I thought she was a little wacky, a little out there, but like then I started to really like tune into what she was saying. And it made a lot of sense. And it was like in the beginning process. So like you can't see the forest from the trees when you first start going like through this process, like it just seems dark and desolate and you're by yourself and there's like no way out. Like you're just like, where does it end? Where do I keep going? I guess I'm going on. You don't know. You're getting breadcrumbs that you're going the right way here or there, But like now, like she speaks, and like I completely understand everything she's saying. You know what I mean? Like it just connects. It makes sense now.
Right. It's really beautiful. It's a really beautiful time to be living during this transition and with everything going on. I mean, to sit back and, be the witness and the observer to your own story,
Right. Right.
is it's amazing, and it's so powerful. And yeah, there's no other way. Like I could never go back to living the way that I did.
Yeah.
I could never, I quit a job that paid me over 70 grand a year, just done.
Yeah.
My
Yeah.
soul is telling me I've got to go.
Yeah.
And there was just no other way. And once, over the hump, over the pain, the real, dropping to the knees pain, things got brighter. Colors were brighter, sounds were clearer. I mean, like literally clouds were fuller,
Yeah.
like it just is amazing. And I'm just so very thankful for everything, that my life has brought me. Like truly, I'm super thankful for it all.
Yeah.
Even really the really bad, painful stuff is what I'm thankful the most for, to be honest, because it really catapulted me in a direction of healing myself. I was alone, for a lot of my life, and, through different traumas and, sexual traumas, emotional, physical. I mean, just, being alone, really, you have two choices. You either buck up and power through it, or you break. And
Right. Right.
that's just,
Or you mask it like everybody does.
yeah.
Whatever addiction you fill it with, drugs, alcohol,
Yeah.
sex, you know,
Yeah.
cutting, self-harm, like whatever it is, like, everybody has to deal with their pain somehow. So
Well, and it's really, I mean, I remember last June when all this started happening, I remember being in so much pain. I felt so hollow and so broken and dead, like
yeah,
inside. There was just no life. All I could do was sob and cry. And I just remember thinking, like, what the fuck? Like, is this even worth it? Like, I'm literally going crazy. Like, I'm a sun girl, man. I'm out in the sun every single day. I'm on the lake. I'm in the mountains. I did not do any of that shit last summer. I just laid there and like cried and, and then once, I mean, the clouds lifted and stuff, things got a little bit brighter. But during that time, I can see why healing is painful, and it's, you know, definitely survival of the fittest. I mean, essentially, you either, I don't know. It's a lot, but we do it. People do it
this
all the time.
this past year, like it just feels like almost like this process. It's almost like a magnet is sucking up all the pain out of your body, whether you like it or not, that's going through this experience. And you feel it like physically leaving in certain types of ways,
Yeah.
That's what
Yes.
it's like. You getting random pains one day in your kidneys or your knee, or,
A
you're
headache,
headache, nausea, you want to throw up, like chills,
vertigo.
hot and cold chills, like all these
Yep.
things that people might think they might be sick from, but they're really not,
Yep.
so yeah, but
Yeah.
very strange. So when, like, what was like the start of like the like process for you? Like when did you like really start to like what kind of like shook you up or woke you up to set you like on this course now?
Um, so my dark night of the soul is what kind of really, um, that's when I was like just completely out of it. I mean, just so dead inside. Um, just I can't even explain it. Like it
Yeah,
just was horrible.
yeah.
But I started meditating a lot when I got back to Montana. Like I had the time, um, and so when I started meditating, things just started hitting me. Like and I had no idea. I mean, I had no idea what was going on with me. Like
Mhm.
I knew that there's, a creator that I believed in, but I had like no idea the depth of power we hold, like how powerful we are. And when messages started coming through, it just really like, and then when it was confirmed over and over, that's what really shook me up, just
Mhm.
really blew my mind. Like when I read your energy on your picture, you were probably like, I don't know, the third or fourth person I read on.
Wow.
Like decided to get on there and I'm like, I'm going to test it out because I
Yeah,
have this knowing, like, I don't know. And this is the only way.
yeah, yeah.
It was just on. And so that I was just like, wow, whoa, like, um, but then I met this person, um, and he lives here in the United States, and he reached out and wanted me to read some pictures of his, and we sparked up a friendship, a spiritual friendship type deal. And he was the one he was the one that woke me. He sent me into the dark night of the soul and just completely just busted me completely open,
Hmm.
triggered me in ways that I thought that I had healed from. I mean, just shit was just purging out. I mean, stuff that I was like reacting to that had nothing to do with my current family. It was past. Do you know what I mean? Like it was
Yeah.
all
No, I know what you're saying. Yeah.
coming. I mean, just full force coming. My psychic abilities just boom, they were there. The next day, I was like, new stuff. I could feel things. I could feel the frequency of crystals. I could feel the flower. I just, so much stuff just instantly. I mean, it just started hitting me at once. Um, and I would always get asked by like my family or my close friends, like, aren't you like scared of what people are going to think of you? Like, we know you as a professional, like, people see you and they, like, how do you feel? And I'm like, I don't care. Like, I really, I'm going to say what I'm going to say. And I mean, I always come with grace and love, and I'm kind. And that's all that I can be. And if people can't accept who I am now, and, you know, like I've always been this person.
Yeah.
I'm just, my ego, the ego death is what killed me pretty much.
Yeah.
You know, like you're reborn essentially, you know?
I remember like when I was going through it last year, I kind of just like remember like following those like energy reports and trying to keep up to date like with what the energies were, because I couldn't feel the outside energies. All I could feel was like my pain and my trauma that I've been carrying around my whole life, you know, like a blinder almost. So what happened was like, I remember it was like, oh, like these energy reports were like, we're in a review phase of this point of your life. So like I'd wake up and then I'd like remember a bad memory when I was 20 years old with someone that hurt me. You know what I mean? And it was kind of like I was rewatching the movie. It's kind of like the meditation I just did. So it's like my brain would just play it on repeat. And I'm like, I guess this is what they're talking about. I guess I have to redo it again. So this kept happening for like months and months, like every day or however long it took me to get over one thing, then the next thing would come. Oh, the way your brother treated you when you were 18, you know, like when this person screwed you over in business when you were 27. And like my brain kept like replaying all this stuff until I could finally just like release it and let it go, you know? So it was difficult because when you're going through it, like it seems like it's never going to end. You know, you can't see the forest from the trees. You can't see out the other end. It's so like dense. But like as you're clearing it, you don't even realize you're clearing it because you have like such a tiny little light and like a massive amount of darkness surrounding you, you know, and then you just keep doing it one step at a time. And the universe starts sending you little breadcrumbs, like a flower here or a bird there, or, you know what I mean? It just strange. It's crazy how it all works together when you start actually believing and paying attention and opening your eyes, the gifts that it's giving you, you know?
Oh man, it's just amazing. I mean, it's miracles every day. I mean, it's just this beautiful dance that we get to dance. You know, the universe proves herself over and over, and we prove ourselves over and over. And it's this beautiful gifting.
Yeah.
You know, it just reminds me of the infinity, you know, it's just over this dance over and over and over. And, you know, and just anything that gets your heart fluttering, anything that makes you feel alive and feel joyful. That's what I say, that, you know, that shit's going to raise your frequency, and it's going to, like, you know, people can raise your frequency. You know, having that heart connection, I think, is really, really, really important. And for as long as I can remember, I've always told people, you know, because people would just, they're just, you know, we're empaths. So they just come, I'm at the grocery store and I'm doing therapy with the clerk in like 7 minutes, you know, like flat, you know, like it's just, and I just always remember telling people, you know, the biggest, longest journey is from your head to your heart.
Yeah.
I mean, that is just so true. It's just if you can operate from your heart space, the amount of love and abundance and knowledge and wisdom and harmony is just, it just keeps flowing in. I mean, it just keeps flowing in. And the universe will provide for you when you're on your soul path. Things will be provided, doors will open, as long as you have faith, believe, and you know, keep the trust within the universe.
Yeah, like I keep bringing up this Instagram, but like that was like one of the big things of me starting this, because I'm like, everybody's gonna probably think I'm fucking nuts. You know what I mean? Like everyone's gonna think I'm out of my fucking mind. Like my wife's family's gonna see this, my family's gonna see this, all my friends are gonna see this. And then like I made a couple videos and I didn't really get much feedback. Like I saw people were liking it and watching it and like liking the daily card stuff I was doing. And then like a week or two goes by and people start reaching out to me and my wife, and they're like, I have anxiety problems. Like, what do you suggest I do? And it's like people I've known forever. You know what I mean? They're like, I don't want to go to a doctor. I don't want to take meds. I don't want to be in the psychiatric, you know what I mean? Like, I don't want to be like in that community. I don't want to make it a thing. Like, how can I heal myself in a sense, you know? And like other people are like, when are you making the next video? And I'm like, I thought everybody thought I was out of my mind. You know what I mean? Like,
no, this is great. This is so good. I love watching, you know, this come into, you know, physical manifestation for you. Your videos are wonderful. They're funny. I
Yeah,
love,
thank
you
you.
know, the Mr. Miyagi thing and Daniel and all of that. I'm like, oh my God, he's nailing it every time. I'm super proud of you. And
Oh, thank you.
yeah, I'm really fortunate, you know, to have you as a, you know, a soul family member. And
Same.
I'm just really glad that we crossed paths and we just have a lot of the same, you know, beliefs in regard to a lot of things. And when I need a, you know, somebody to nudge me, you're the one to say, snap out of it, get
Yeah.
on it. You know exactly what you need to do. And I'm like, you're
It's
right.
it's funny because like at first, like when I first like got your couple messages and we were talking, you were like, I could feel your energy. And I wasn't like at that level yet. And I was kind of like, this chick's out of her mind. Like, what is she trying to like get from me? Is
Are
she
you
trying to
really?
well, I didn't really know because usually when you get like a spam person, they're like,
Yeah.
oh, the ancestors told me you need a cleansing to get rid of this curse. Please donate $50 to my PayPal, you know? So I've been getting a lot of that crap. But you know what I mean? Like it comes off kind of like I'm like, okay, you know, like I guess. But now it's like I know when something's wrong with you and I'll hit you up and I'll be like, what's up? And you're like, I'm okay. I'm like, no, you're not. Tell me what's wrong with you. And you're like, okay, this happens. You know what I mean? So it's
I know. I'm like, he's good.
yeah, yeah. Same thing with my sister yesterday. She's like, oh, I was thinking of texting you. I texted her like 2 minutes before, you know, like I'm just like on lately with stuff. It's crazy. Like
Amazing.
I've been like waiting for this like moment my whole life too. I always had like this like superhero theory, you know what I mean? Like where we're all like someone like Superman or Spider-Man and like our DNA just hasn't activated. We haven't become the X-Man yet, you know? And I've been kind of waiting for that and now it's like actually happening and it's like it just like it fills my like heart up, you know what I mean? It makes me like
Yes.
it makes me like
Blowing my
happy.
mind. I remember talking to you before you started these videos and you're like, yeah, I'll put it together. It's going to be a while.
Yeah.
It was like days. I was like,
Yeah.
whoa, good.
Yeah.
I mean, that's, you know, good job. I mean, that's the best part too, you know, about falling in line with, you know, your soul and stuff is the creativity that we get too, you know, like
Yeah.
it's everything is just amplified and I mean, just I'm so grateful and so thankful for it all.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's just no other way. There's no turning back
Yeah.
ever.
Yeah. It's just
My
weird because I had like the creativity like was always I don't even know if it was there, but it was like almost like a valve turned on and like the dam broke and that was it, you know? Like I just started running, you know,
Yep.
just took off running and that was it.
Yep. Yep. I've never been creative my entire life. And my zodiac sign says I'm creative. And I'm like, I am the least creative person
Yeah.
since my awakening. It's out of control. I'm like, whoa, you know what? It's amazing.
What are you doing to like what kind of art like I know you're doing those like the vases or the jars.
Yeah. So I do like intentions. I hold like classes for that. A lot of people are interested in like how to do intentions and what that means. And
Mm-hmm.
you know, smudging and all of that. And then I do like vision board classes where we do like inspirational vision boards for the year.
Mm-hmm.
And it's all just tied into, you know, spiritual stuff and you know, within yourself and not reaching, you know,
Right, right.
just really focusing on yourself and your healing and then I do, what else do I do? Like I do like little crystal crowns and, you know, just hold little things here and there. I've done a wellness day for the tribe for one of the departments. They asked me to come in.
Mm-hmm.
So I've done that. I'm, you know, waiting on contracts, so to speak, right now for like a mental health agency to get referrals from them. They're interested in sending me their clients and stuff.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So it's just kind of, you know, slowly taking off and, which is, you know, it's great. It's what I want to do. And I have such a passion for it that, you know, I'm going to fight for it
Yeah.
as much as I can to help in whatever way that I can.
And she still finds time, ladies and gentlemen, with 5 kids to raise.
Yeah, you do what you got to do.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like a chill like environment though in Montana, right? It's more like laid back, you know, not like a big city. Like I grew up in New York where everybody's like in a rush to get everywhere, you know.
Yeah, no, it's pretty relaxed here. It's you know, since not working for the tribe, and, you know, when I worked for the tribe, I was in it all. I was in the heroin, I was in the meth, I was in the abuse. And do you know what I mean? Like, it was just so much that I couldn't get away from it.
It's
You
just
know, my kids,
it's suffocating.
yeah, it's
It's
like, it
all
just like,
consuming.
like,
Yeah.
ah. But since I'm not in it anymore, it's like, God, I can enjoy my home. You know, I
Yeah.
can enjoy not knowing those statistics, or not knowing that person that, do you know what I mean? It's just nice. I feel
Yeah.
like kind of remove, you know, I'm removed from from the fishbowl of it all.
Yeah,
So
yeah. I mean, look at me.
nice.
I always lived in New York. I've always been like an empath. I've realized I've always could like I was super sensitive to energy and emotions. Like when people get angry, like I feel it like so intently. You know what I mean? And it would like scare me as a kid, I remember. But like there's just so much people. And like when COVID and lockdown happened and the fear, like you could just feel it. It was like in the air. Like it was like one of those zombie movies. Like no one was on the streets and all you could feel was like this tension, fear, and like fight or flight mode. Like I need to run for my life. And that's why we moved, you know, like I couldn't deal with it anymore. It was too intense for me at that time. Like I wanted to like protect my energy, protect myself. So we decided to move, you know. So I
Yeah.
totally get it. Yeah, being around like that type of tough situation every day, like I know it's not comparable, but like I was training to be a stockbroker at one point,
Oh,
and
wow.
and it was like kind of like the movie Boiler Room. Like we're calling up these old guys and trying to swindle them out of their life savings to put in a stock I know is going to fail. You know what I mean? So like having a conscience and finance don't go hand in hand. You know, like I had to learn.
Right.
I had to learn like a hard way, like what jobs I could do because I have a conscience and I can't lie to people or try to swindle them or sell them shit they don't need, you know? So I've always like struggled with that my whole life, you know, but now I know why. Now I'm on my path, but like it was a struggle to fit in a society you feel like you weren't meant for, you know?
Right. Yeah, I always felt like I was just
Yeah.
too much for people. Just, you know, just too much.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I'm extremely happy with my life where I'm at right now. And you know, when I was younger, I would write my name out and I would write like what credentials I wanted behind that, or you know what I mean? And I would just stick it on my wall. And, you know, now I just don't even care. You know,
Yeah.
as long as I'm like helping people or wherever I'm needed, you know, I'm just kind of, go with the flow, you know, serve the moment,
Yeah.
whatever is needed. When spirit speaks to me about certain things or whatever, I do it, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And if I don't want to, sometimes I'm like, oh, I don't, you know, but you do
it,
it.
it used to be like where I would like listen to that and then I'd listen to the ego and my ego would be like, don't do that. You don't need to do that. Don't worry about it. Like, you know what I mean? Now it's almost like the intuition is just like taking over my body and doing what it feels like, you know, like it just comes out and does its own thing. And I'm like, wow, I just really said that to someone. You know what I mean? Like I
Yeah.
just gave a reading and it was spot on. And I've only been doing cards for like 4 months or 5 months, you know, it's crazy like how accelerated it is, you know.
Yeah. It's beautiful. The more, you know, the more we do it, the more we read, the more we, you know, I found more, you know, more readings I do, more people that I'm doing the reading for, their deceased loved ones have come through there. I mean, it's just more on top of more on, and I'm like, whoa, what more can I offer people to help? You know, like it's just endless. Like the gift, it's it's truly amazing. And I'm really excited that you did this, you know, podcast thing, because I think people really need to, I think testimonies are huge.
Yeah.
You know, like especially people that are close to you and close to me. Like if you literally watched me go through it,
Yeah.
and, you know, like you've seen all the abundance, you know, when things are meant to be, money appears out of nowhere. I mean, things just happen. It's just,
Yeah, I mean I feel like whatever it is, like me sending out my message now, it's almost like I could see like people that are watching my feed and stuff are almost sort of like about to go through their first dark night of the soul themselves. You know what I mean? It's almost like I could feel that everybody is going to be going through this turmoil, especially with the news and the media, right, lately, you know?
Yeah.
So I feel like everybody's on this precipice like we were at almost a year or so ago. And I like kind of want to be there because like we didn't have anyone for us, you know what I mean? Like a big brother type of thing, you know, like I've been there. I can help you through the process. If you do what I tell you, it'll be less painful on you in the long run. You know what I mean? It'll be a streamline rather than like a zigzag, like trying to figure out your way forward, you know?
Yeah, because that's exactly what it feels like, you know, just like a freaking ping pong. Like,
Yeah.
you know, one minute I'm just, you know, the adrenaline is going, and the next I'm like, oh my God, I feel dead. You know,
Yeah.
like it's just up and down, up and down.
It's
I
like
have
being
people that-
it's like being blindfolded in a dark room and someone just keeps going hotter, colder, you know?
right? Like, yeah, it is exactly like that. Yeah, it's crazy. I like to be able to, you know, have my story out there, you know, so I can have, I mean, I have people that will message and ask, you know, like, I'm feeling this way, what is happening? And, you know, and I explain that to them, you know, because I can only speak to authority on what I've experienced and what I've been through, you
Right,
know.
right.
And so whatever I can offer that resonates with other people, because it's truly horrible to go through it alone, you know, to just be my friend, the guy that, you know, essentially woke me, just basically told me, you know, stop reading books, stop searching for answers and meditate and go inside and watch just that's all I'm going to tell you. Like, I'm just going to stop talking about it. You know, I've told you what you need to do. And I meditated for, you know, a few weeks, and within just that few weeks, I don't know, probably by the fourth month of, you know, meditating a couple times a day and, you know, doing all of that, my consciousness just completely busted wide open.
Mm-hmm.
Just, I mean, it blew my mind. I mean, the information and the knowledge that was coming in, you know, and then after I'm done meditating, and then I go and I grab one of my books and I look up that information, or I'll look on, you know, Google or whatever, and it's the information that I was, you know, like, I mean, it's just confirmation after confirmation. Now it's to the point where I don't need confirmation for anything, and I'm not being cocky or whatever. If I do a reading, you know, if they say spot on, that doesn't, I mean, I don't need that. They need the, you know, the guidance and all of that stuff. I don't need to hear all of that, but I know they're just giving thanks or whatever. Do you know what I'm trying to say? I think
Yeah,
I'm
no, I know
rambling.
what you mean.
It's
No,
like,
I know what you mean. No,
yeah, it's like
it's
I
like
don't even,
I'm still like I'm like that, just like by emotions because I've felt them for so long and I'm good at navigating them with people. You know what I mean? Especially with dealing with situations. I feel like I always kind of like can figure out how people can navigate around difficult problems or situations, whether it's work or family or interpersonal relationships or marriage or whatever. You know, I just have always been like natural, like kind of giving the appropriate advice in those situations. But the readings, I kind of still surprise myself because I'm still like, I've only been really doing it for me or my wife, Lauren, you know what I mean? So like, maybe like a week or two ago, I was just like, you want a reading, Lauren? She's like, yeah, sure, why not? So I did like my whole spread or whatever. And I was like telling her all this stuff. And then she's like, why are you telling me this stuff? Like, she was getting angry at me. She's like, you got the deceit card. You're telling me people might screw me over at work. Why are you putting these thoughts in my head? I'm like, I didn't say that. I'm saying like somebody might try to stab you in the back if they consider you a threat at work. That's what I'm telling you. And she got like so angry at me, like for just like giving her, I'm like, all right, I'm not reading you anymore. You know, like that's it. Like,
well, it scares people, you know,
yeah,
like I've given readings to people. I got asked like last week or the week before, like, do you get nervous when you give readings? Like, do you get uncomfortable? And I'm like, no,
yeah,
like, I don't have to know you, no, because I'm just a vessel. It's
yeah,
just coming, you know, coming through. But yeah, I've had people just not even like ever talk to me again, or, you know, just it's scary for people, I
yeah.
guess. I mean, I totally understand that. But
It's just crazy. You like put your intention in the card for that person's energy. You shuffle the cards. Whatever comes up, the cards are telling you a story. That's pretty much as simple as it is. And she was like, well, you know me, so you're like planning this story for me. I'm like, no, I'm going along with the story of the cards I put down or confirming like what, you know what I mean? Like you read the cards based on how they present themselves, you know, to you. I'm not like just making the cards and pulling certain cards to make it fit my narrative, you know, like.
Right. Yeah. Oh, I know a lot of people. Yeah. I'm
Yeah,
sure that you think that way too. That's
yeah,
just so much time. Why would you do that? Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Because you're just so right on, with your readings.
So
It's hard.
how did like your family like take on like the whole beginning process for you, like when you were going through this dark night of the soul last year?
They were just like, Mom, like, are you okay? I mean, I have 3 older daughters and they're all adults. They're in their 20s and they 2 of them were really, like, it'll be okay, whoa, the pretty open mind. My middle daughter, she was just kind of like, Mom, knock it off. Like, this isn't real, like you're losing it type,
Yeah, yeah,
My younger kids, they were just kind of oblivious to it all. It was summer, so they were out having fun or whatever. All the adults in my family were really supportive.
hmm,
Um, like my mom and, my husband and my ex-husband, who's my kids' dad, and, like my in-laws. I mean, they all just kind of were just like, okay, and, but some family members, that are kind of distant, not distant, like through like, relation or whatever, but, some of them they just don't talk to me anymore.
really.
Yeah, or get kind of like weird about it, or, like, you're not supposed to be messing around with that stuff. And,
Mm,
I'm like, whoa, I ain't doing any type of black magic or I'm just pulling cards. It's
right,
fun.
right, right.
Like people can read energy and that's what I do. And,
Well,
I
if you
really,
the old school Catholic Church like dogma is crystals, tarot, card reading, soothsayers, intuitives, all the devil. You know what I mean? Burn them at the
yeah,
stake. And they kept that, you know. That's kind of the problem too. I mean, yeah, like we're not doing black magic in the woods and sacrificing children and drinking blood and all that type of shit. You know, it's like this is just natural ability that just comes out, you know.
yeah.
It's like your God-given gift you were born with, you know.
Yep, absolutely. And, my husband was amazing through this whole thing. He just really stood by my side and, watched me go through it all and, watched me triggered and, just complete, you know, chaos inside of me. And he just stood right by me. And that was the hugest, support that I could have ever had, along
Yeah,
with my kids, of just, and the unconditional support and love that they had. Not every family gets that. So
yeah,
I was really fortunate. And now they're just like, whoa, wow, look at her go. She's
yeah,
got her, it just, with all the right support and knowing, that you just, doors open, you just jump.
yeah, yeah. Like Lauren always heard me like go off on tangents and like I'd be drinking or a little intoxicated and I would just go down rabbit holes of stuff and like she would try to follow along and she would like nod and be like, yeah, yeah, you know, but she didn't get everything, obviously, you know, but she tried and she still gave me the space to do it, you know, which
Yeah,
that's like the most important thing.
so important. Yeah, absolutely.
And she like tries to make an effort, you know, like it's funny because like she's holding up the script when I make the videos. So like I write a script for myself and she's like turning the pages or whatever, so like I have to keep like cutting it because like she doesn't know what I wrote, like, so like she's like paying attention to me, watching me while I'm like doing like my thing, and then I'm waiting for my wife to turn the page and she's like, oh right, like because she's like fascinated and sucked
I
in
love
too because
that.
she's like she doesn't like,
Right.
it kind of blows her mind too that I know all this stuff too, you know what I mean, like it just it's not something you just normally walk around and talk with everybody or strangers in normal conversation about, you know, unless
Right.
it does happen once seldomly, you know, but like People aren't just going around being like, how are your intuitive powers when there's a full moon? You know, like.
Right. Yeah.
So, I wanted to ask you if you have any good like oracle reading stories, like something that like kind of blew your mind, like if you were doing a reading on someone or energy clearing, like anything interesting that happened like lately when doing the work.
Yeah. So one of my very first Reiki sessions that I did, and was pretty powerful. And at the time I was like, what is, I mean, I just, went with it or whatever, but it was probably one of my very first psychic, where I seen things. It was 3D. It came forward to me.
Like you were in the memory or the vision.
Yeah, I was in the vision.
Yeah.
And so I was working on her, and I, got around, got to one of her sides, and I, after I finished, I told her like, we do the spiel before we do Reiki, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a therapist, I'm just, here to move some energy around.
Mm-hmm.
I told her to watch the certain spot on her side. I said, because I felt like there was something there.
Mm-hmm.
She was like, okay. And then I told her about the vision I had when I got, when I was down working on her leg and stuff. And I told her that I felt her laughing, and I could see her laughing, and her hair was blowing in the wind, and she was in this wheat field. And I felt so much joy at that moment when I was working on her that I almost cried. Like it was so overwhelming that she was so much unconditional love that I just, whoa. And so I was telling her that. And I'd asked her, about her side, and she was like, no, I don't know anything about, I don't feel anything. And I'm like, well, maybe, just next time you go to the doctor or not, I'm just saying, keep an eye out on it. And then I told her about the vision I had, and she was like, she's like, I don't know what that is. And I was like, okay, cool. Take it, or, you don't have to, if it doesn't resonate, throw it out,
Mm-hmm.
And then like a day or two later, she called me and she said, I was reading through my journal, and she was like, and when I meditate, she said, I'm in a field, and I'm in a wheat field, and I'm dancing, and my hair is blowing, and I have so much joy. Everything that she had written in her journal was what I was feeling from her. So that blew my mind. I mean,
Wow.
and my husband we were on the speakerphone, and she knows my husband. And so he was blown away, because I thought, I mean, he probably was like, whatever, Katie, like, but with her calling and, verifying all of that, I was just like blown away. And then she called like 2 or 3 days after that. And she said, I just wanted to let you know, I was at the doctor for a checkup, and I mentioned that. And it turns out she had a tumor. So I located a tumor on her kidney. Yeah. And that just really, like, at that point, I was just like, there's no denying anything. And that just really, I was just so thankful that I could do that for her, or, help that way. Yeah, it was just amazing.
That's awesome.
Another story I want to tell you real quick. I did a Reiki session probably about a month ago, about an hour drive from here. And when I got in there and was doing her session, I got around to like her heart, not her heart chakra, but like her heart itself. And the vision that I got was prison bars. And it was just so overwhelmingly sad. And she needed chains cut. She needed, tethers cut, cords removed, and during that entire process, as I was cutting them, I literally seen green vines grow through her entire system, beautiful, flourishing green vines. I thanked all the pain and, darkness, thanked it and sent it to the light. it was just a very, very emotional, beautiful session that I just, when I think about it, I'm just, oh my God. And when we talked about it, she started talking first, and it was just crazy. She knew the bars were there, the vines. She said, and they were green vines. And I mean, that was just another, I was like, yes, I saw that too. You know what I mean? Like
Wow. You share like visions with people. Yeah.
yeah, I do. And I've done that. There was another person that I did distance, down in Florida, and I seen his vision that he was having. So he was having an experience and a vision, and I was able to go in and see different parts of that. I mean, nailed it to the t-shirt he was wearing, the color of his jeans, where he held his cell phone, how he felt when he was 2. I mean, just do you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
now it's gotten to the point where when my intuition speaks or when spirit comes through, there's no doubt in my mind at all. Like I don't say, I'm not going to say that. Like,
Yeah.
boom, because it's just, there's no denying, there's no other way.
Right. Right. Yeah. I mean, I feel like I had that block on my throat chakra, like for so long, because I learned early on, like if you speak up and you say things that upset or scare people, you're going to get punished for it. You know what I mean? So I kind of like locked it up, throw it in the back of my mind. Like I'll do my own research or whatever, but it really wouldn't go anywhere. You know what I mean? Like I would just talk to my friends, having stupid conversations like out late night, one night we get like into, weird, whatever, government conspiracies, whatever it was, we kind of go down the rabbit hole and then we just keep going. What about this? What about that? What about this? But I had a reading I did recently for my wife's cousin Hannah. I was kind of like happy that I could help her because she's like, well, I think 23, 24-ish. She's going to grad school, but she's started grad school. She didn't get to have a graduation party because of COVID last year. So that's why like Lauren went home this past weekend. But anyway, she asked for a reading, so I decided to do one for her. And like the first card I came up, it was like trapped in fear and then like the throat chakra. So I knew immediately, I'm like, this is telling me that like you're scared of using your voice. Like, why are you scared of using your voice? That type of thing. So it was pretty much just about, that was like the main theme of it. Like you're scared, like you can't move forward. You have to make a decision, but you have to use your voice. Otherwise, like that's where your power is and you're holding back your power because you're not using your voice and not standing up for yourself. And then she responded back. She's like, oh my God, like you're so right. Like I got into so many situations this year because like I usually don't speak up for myself. I let other people speak up for me. And then I did speak up for myself this year and I lost a couple friends because of it. And I'm scared to use my voice, which happens. And everybody thinks like when you lose your friends, it's the worst thing in the world. But really, you're just aligning to something better by not having those energies in your life anymore if they're not going to support you, So it's like that blessing in disguise you don't realize. That's another thing that always seems to happen too. You get those tower moments and you think it's like, why is this happening to me? Why could God let this happen? Why could my spirit team let this happen? If my ancestors are looking over me, why would they let this happen? And it's like, it's really for your own growth. So you could grow to be a stronger, better, more resilient person and learn a lesson in that. And that's usually the hardest part for humans to comprehend because we think we know everything. Our ego thinks we can analyze everything. I'm so smart. I know everything. I'm better than you, blah, blah, blah. Things like that don't just happen. That's what you usually hear from people like that, but they do happen and they happen for a reason to shake you up out of what's not working for you anymore, to get you into something better. And that's what I think more people need to start understanding. Like, tragedy is meant there to push you in the better situation that you need to align yourself with. As shitty as it is, like the Buddha says, like there is no like growth, there's no happiness without suffering. Like we must suffer as humans to get to that like level.
Yeah.
So.
Yep. So true. So true. I always, like my son, he's 16 and he's an awakened child. He was awakened before I was. And he is wise beyond just the stuff I was learning a year ago, he was teaching me. And he was right. I mean, it was all, you know, stuff that, okay, son, I get it. You know, he really has come a long ways. And you know, I've always tried to tell him, because he was trying to, you know, he's like, I'm just, you know, like a kid in this body, and I'm trying to like live a normal kid life. And I can't, because I have all this stuff going on. Like people, you know, his peers go to him for help all the time. He's, you know, he teaches about crystals, or, you know, like he's just a good kid. He's one of the, you know, last year he was one of the best freshman basketball players in the state. You know, he's just a good kid. And but I always tried to, you know, because he wanted, you know, I keep getting the same result over and over and over. And I'm like, well, you're just a kid. So a lot of that is just developmental.
Right.
But in things that you can control your reaction, the way you're reacting, the way that you feel when you reacted and you felt horrible, when you're about to react that same way, think of how you felt, and, you know, how that affected not only you, but that other person. And when you're about to react that way, do you want to continue to feel that ugly, hollow feeling? That is what I taught myself, is wait a minute. I did this last time. I felt like shit. I'm just not even going to go there, because I don't like I feel everything, even broken hearts that aren't mine, you know? And so I really, really had to learn quickly, because I didn't like it.
Right.
So my lessons in my life are learned very quickly. I just moving on, you know, got that down. That shit's never happening again. Moving on, you know, like,
yeah. It took me a while to get there. I had to learn the hard way many times, it seems like.
yeah.
But I got there eventually. But
Yeah.
so that's pretty much it, I think. Do you have anything else you want to add? Any message or?
I don't think so. Just I'm super thankful for you, and it's an honor to be on your podcast, and I appreciate you, and can't wait to like see you grow, and, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I
all
wanted
that.
you to be the first person on the interview because like you're the person that had the most influence this year for me in this development. You're the one person that kind of understood everything I was going through because you went through it exactly the same way as you. And it's funny because like I was like down here, then you were up here. Then it's like I was up here, then you're like up there, and now it's like it just keeps going back and forth. It's like
It's
one day
amazing.
I'm off, and then you're on, and it's like it's just funny how it works, you know. It's like you get blinded by your own stuff sometimes. You can't see your own situation, and then you're like, oh yeah, why didn't I look at it that way? You know, it's like it's just funny how it works. But
It's beautiful. I love it. Very thankful.
Kate, thank you very much. It's great to connect with you finally. This is the first time we met face to face.
I know.
I wanted you to be the first person because obviously, you know, like soul family, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know how else to put it, you know?
Right. Absolutely.
But thanks again. Thanks for being on here. I'll have you back on again. We'll BS a little bit and catch up. But yeah, so that's it. I want to say something to everybody out there that I'm going to send this video to. I want to do a lot more of these interviews. So if you're interested, I would love to have a chat and we could just go on Zoom and just shoot the shit and talk about spirituality if you want. So Kate, thanks again. I'll be in touch, obviously. Have a great night. And thanks for participating.
Thank you.
Bye. Have a good one.
Bye.